Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have a review for you of another Marc & Sons watch. This particular one is actually a special collaboration that was made with the Divers Watch Forums Facebook group, the Divers Watch Facebook group, known as DWFB. This is the limited special edition, and this is a particular model is the Desert Reference. Now it might look a little bit familiar to you because I did feature on my channel not too long ago the MSD029. This is a bit of a rework of that particular model, and I think they've made some really nice improvements over that. I think it'd be really cool if actually they might take some of these elements and work it into their standard 029. So with that said, a little bit about the brand. Marc & Sons is of course out of Germany. They were established in 2007, and they're a micro brand that features many different styles and of course all automatic powered watches. Now they're all pretty nice, and I think they offer tons of bang per buck, and this watch is no different. The particular type of watch this is a dive watch. Now some key common characteristics and design language when you're looking for a dive watch: you're going to want something that is of course water resistant, normally through some type of screw down crown. You're going to want something that's tough, legible, with a dive time bezel and a diver's extension if on bracelet. Now I think this particular diver does have all of those boxes checked. Now as I mentioned before, this is the DWFB limited special edition. It is in particular in the Desert Reference. There are basically different camo themes that you'll see across the board, which we'll cover later on. But this particular one, just so you guys know, actually for all of these special editions, comes in at about 495 euro. And you'd put basically a little down payment, a little deposit of 100 euro. So I mean that normally would come out to around just under 600 bucks there. So I think that's pretty good value for money considering what you're getting. Oh, excuse me. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a closer look. Okay. So as you can see, quite a handsome diver, and definitely has different little design cues you probably recognize from other very famous and popular sports watches. Now, as far as the diameter and the dims go, I really want to mention, of course, just like the MSD029 model before it, it does have very deceiving dimensions because it has basically, oops, sorry about that, this little protrusion here on this side. So when they say that this is a 44.5 millimeter watch, they're talking basically here to the crown guards, which is the widest spot. But I think visually it's definitely going to wear much smaller, and because of course normally if you're going to measure, I'd say I'd normally measure this portion versus a crown guard to this kind of little pump out right here, which is very handsome, and really it gives you an opportunity again to drool over those finishings. Look at that nice transition between brushed and polished. Very, very nice. Now as far, again, the dimensions go, the bezel itself, the width on that is about 42.5. So I'd say that's probably a truer size to what this is going to wear to. It does have a 50 millimeter lug to lug width, and then a 13 millimeter height. And the nice thing about the height on this particular watch, of course, is that they do a great job of kind of sectioning off the mid case versus the case back and the bezel. So it does give you a little bit more of a thin wear, both visually and then on wrist, because you have a little bit of breathing space, as you can see when you're going to angle your wrist around. I do like to wear my watches a little bit looser, so they do end up a little bit closer to the joint on my wrist, and of course I'm left-handed, so when I wear them I don't have to worry about the crown digging in my hand, so it's not a big deal. But these wear really, really well. So, because of the changes they've made have been mostly aesthetic, everything that I liked about the standard model still carries true for this particular special edition. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about this watch if this is your first time seeing it. Now, it does of course have a sapphire crystal. It definitely has AR coating, as you can see there, a little bit of a glimmer, really nice. It actually is a flat sapphire. This has a really great action 120 click unidirectional bezel. You can see I'm trying to do some back play there. It's really not happening for me. And then, as you can see, really beautifully loomed bezel insert. Just fantastic. Really nice and sharply done. And of course, this is just a pre-production prototype, so I'm sure the finished product will be just as good, if not nicer, which is always really great. Now, the movement inside is an ETA 2824-2, which is to be expected because that's inside the standard model. The case back, as you can see, is very nicely machined and laser etched, and then you do have this great clasp, which is ratcheting, push button deployment, you know, all the bells and whistles you'd expect. Everything is solid. You do have screw in links, solid end links, just really, really nice. Now, as far as the dial goes, it does have a glossy kind of desert camouflage motif, which I find very attractive, especially after being in the Marine Corps for almost 10 years. I've definitely spent my fair share of time in the desert in desert camis. Although this isn't an exact one-for-one scale from of course, the U.S. Desert cami, especially for me in the Marine Corps. We did switch over to the desert digital design, which I think would probably be pretty cool on here if they did a little digi pattern. This particular look, though, I think is really nice, and of course speaks to that kind of a more earth tone, and probably helps with the wearability of this particular piece. There are basically other themes. You know, there's an Arctic theme, which is basically a kind of blue on gray. Then this tan is kind of has that kind of coyote green with a bunch of tan colors mixed in. Then we have jungle, which is predominantly kind of greens and browns. Then you have ocean, which is blue on blue in various shades. And then you have SWAT, which is going to be that classic kind of gray and black motif here. I think the design really works well and just adds a little pop to a watch that has a silhouette that's really quite recognizable as a diver. And then you have you know, this type of kind of artistic dial, which you don't see happen too often, kind of with the creativity. So I think that's really a fun little choice. And as you can see, they do have the little diver, the DWFB logo there on the dial, which I think is really great. And I think they really actually cleaned up, as you can see, the text on the dial as well. And then they also removed that kind of thick chapter ring as well. So I'll go ahead and pull the other model, the standard model, into frame. But just to kind of summarize, as you can see there, it also does have that beautifully framed date window at the 3 o'clock. It has applied indices. Everything's BGW9, really, really nice. 22 millimeter lugs. Again, 50 millimeters lug to lug. It has that 22 millimeter down to 20 millimeter taper. Everything looks good. Everything's signed. Now let's go ahead and also bring this piece in. Now, this is the watch that I reviewed not too long ago, and here is the special edition. As you can see, same case and bracelet, very, very nice, great finishing there, those fine bevels, but I do think they did improve the handset quite a bit. And also the nice thing about the dial is it's a bit more consistent. As you can see there, it's with everything applied versus a mixture of kind of sandwich and applied. And then you have the removal of this kind of big ring there, which I think it was kind of repetitive having the information on there. I would have much rather seen a 24-hour or 12-hour scale there, even a 30-minute counter. I'm sorry, it shouldn't be 30-minute, but basically a minute range there all the way around would have been great as well. So I just feel like that the space could have been utilized a lot better. And then here they actually remove that and actually just have a really cool kind of printed index there, which I think is nice and helps this particular dial breathe just a little bit better. It just feels like it has more space. It feels probably like it's going to visually wear a bit larger than this one, which I think, although the numbers would make you think this wears like a very large watch, visually because of the smaller dial and then the breaking on the dial, kind of breaking up those lines and everything, it actually helped it wear visually a bit smaller. Now, one of the things I really do appreciate though is the text. Look at that. The text is just so much cleaner, professional, 500 millimeter, 500 meter diver, desert, right? It's for the desert motif. Here you have the 500 meters, but then you also have automatic, and you have sapphire written on there. I mean, it's just a little bit much. And then of course you also still have the depth rating also on the ring. So I think they definitely cleaned things up, but they chose a really great base watch because this particular model I think is absolutely fantastic for the money that you're going to start out with. So let's actually go ahead and get this particular piece on wrist. Okay, now as you can see on my 7 1/4 inch wrist, wears really nice. You can see it has a nice thin profile to it even when you look at it from this angle. The lugs do have a nice little bit of a turn down there. They do have the T-style end link, which do bring out the length of the lug to lug a little bit further, but by no means would I say that it's bringing it out to, to a fault or anything like that. I think this is really, of course, everything I liked about the case and the silhouette previously from the stock model, I definitely still enjoy here, wears really well. So let's go ahead and turn over to some lume and low light transition. Okay, so I figured I would actually bring my my 0 to 9 back into frame, so you guys could actually even compare the lume as well. So let's go ahead and hit the lights. Now, as you can see, another improvement here is that the index there, although printed, is actually lume, so you can actually track that all the way around, full 60-minute timer, which I think is really great. And the dial does feel a little bit more expansive, a little bit more spaced out, so you just get a little bit of more breathing space, especially in the dark. As you can see, it's a bit more crowded there in the darkness for the stock model there on the right. With that said, let's go ahead and check out some low light transition so you can get a little bit of an idea of how these watches are going to look when you're going in and out of a building, in and out of your vehicle, kind of just transitioning from anywhere in or out of direct sunlight. That BGW9 is just doing such a fantastic job of just beating away there. As you can see, look at that. Beautiful transitions there. Can't really fault either one of these watches when it comes to lume. Definitely very, very nicely done. And you can see there that beautiful ceramic bezel, still very nice. Really great details there. You can see the brushing on the links, as you can see, nice and uniform. Not super fine, definitely more of a tool finish there. Nice and usable, really beautiful, really gorgeous. So, with that said, again, it's just a really great value at just under $600. Or right around $600, depending on, whatever the current exchange rate is. Now you have, of course, that great BGW9. You have a 4 hertz movement, which is going to tick 8 times per second, which is great. 500 meters worth of water resistance, sapphire crystal, solid bracelet. Of course, it's made in Germany. It has fantastic case finishing, and it's such a feature-rich watch, and then of course it's at the cost of some design originality, but I think it's a pretty nice trade-off. As far as model variants go, again, you know, there's going to be the Arctic, which is going to be kind of that blue and gray camo theme. This is the desert with a couple of hints of kind of green and tan. Then we have the jungle, which is going to be the deeper, darker greens with browns. And then you're going to have the ocean, which is blue on blue, which would probably be my choice. Or maybe the SWAT, which is that black and gray kind of urban camo, which I think also looks really, really great. So with that said, you know, you try to compare other models to this in the price range, it's just super competitive in that $500 to $1,000 micro brand diver segment. I think pretty much every good micro brand has something in that range, if not above that range. And you're just getting so much for your money here. It's really tough to say. I would definitely say these are pretty comparable to something like a Christopher Ward. You know, maybe not on quite on kind of the design and detail level, but I think as far as kind of the feature-rich aspect of it and the and not necessarily the fit and finish, I'd say probably the fit is very close and the finish, you know, is just a hair behind. These are really cool watches, and you don't have to wait for any special sales or anything like that. They generally stay right at that range that they're kind of listed for, which is great. So, you know, even in a very competitive segment, I think they do really well to stand out. The bottom line, this watch just checks all of the boxes when you're looking for a chunky yet classic modern dive watch. So I think that's really cool to see, and I'm excited to see, you know, a group like the Divers Watches Facebook group to team up with Marc and Sons, because I think that that's cool that they kind of offer those type of collaborations. Maybe one day when the Average Bros YouTube channel gets big enough, you'll see a custom collaboration from our team as well. So with that said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked the video, please do hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.